So good morning and welcome to the 9th Convocation of Azim Premji University. I can't tell you how wonderful it feels to see all of you here today. We didn't really think this was happening because the pandemic was, attacking us every time we announced a date. But we are here today and it's a wonderful crowd. So, an especially warm welcome to the 300 graduates who are with us today. And their wonderful family and friends who have come to be part of this occasion. A big hello to our students who are watching from campus on the live streaming link and to everybody else who is joining us remotely. Today is a big day and I have the privilege to be on stage and start off the convocation. I'm Padma. I work with the alumni office and it's been a long time since we had a gathering of this sort. In fact, I went back into my records and August 24th, 2019 was the last time we met like this. So we are extremely excited today. It is my privilege today to invite our dignitaries on stage. Today's agenda starts with a campus life film. The campus life film was really made to capture the essence of what it feels like to be an Azim Premji University student and also captures their ways of experiencing our new campus. And after the film, we will have our Registrar and Chief Operating Officer, Manoj, making a welcome address. Then we will have Anurag Behar, our Vice Chancellor, speaking with us. Then we start the award of degrees with the undergraduate program, MA Economics, MA Public Policy and Governance, and then Masters of Law, Master of Laws actually. Then we have a musical performance by our students. They've been practicing for days and days, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that. Then Mr. Premji will address us. He's our Chancellor. We go on to the next set of degrees, which will be the MA Development degrees. We have 161 graduates of the MA Development program with us. Today, I think we hope to have about 106 of them. That will be followed by another musical performance, and then we'll have the MA Education degrees. Finally, we round up with a film which the alumni has prepared for the graduates, extending a warm welcome into the community. We will have a vote of thanks by Anurag Gupta, and this will be followed by the national anthem.
That's not there's a chain of India, of course. How did they have it?
So after pursuing bachelor's in media studies, I worked as a journalist. While doing my stories, I often lacked to connect it with the kind of academic scholar work that was there. So at APU, where the course is structured in this manner, where there's both practicum work as well as intensive course material readings, you kind of get this academic consciousness built within you. That's what I was seeking and that's what I'm here for.
When I am applying for APU, the BSc B.Ed Mathematics course is somewhat interesting to me. I attracted for the main term, education for a social change. So I joined here.
So all the courses are doing a fantabulous job in terms of helping me reflect upon what's exactly happening. It's helping me connect different dots for the system from the perspective of child, from the perspective of schools as system.
It's a different space from other colleges. It's definitely not as competitive. In our classrooms, we find that instead of trying to show that you have understood the topic the best, people will say, oh, as Navya said, I'm adding on to that. And we generally try not to put each other down.
दिन की शुरुआत साथ में हॉस्टल से होती है, साथ में शाम होती है, शाम को चाय, कभी घूमना, कभी कैंपस में सिर्फ बैठ के अपनी कहानी बताना, अपने कुछ भी विचार साझा करना, कभी सिर्फ खाली बैठ के अपनी कविता लिखना या कुछ भी जो आपको सुकून देता हो, जो आपको शांति देता हो, वो इस कैंपस ने हमें दिया है। ये बहुत ही शायद जीवन का एक अनूठा, एक अद्भुत और बहुत ही अनोखा अनुभव है जो शायद ही मैं कभी दोबारा ले पाऊँगा। सो मुझे कैंपस आके बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
Instead of learning which happen inside the classroom, there are lots of activities which are carried out outside the classroom. Like there is a gardening club, there is a music club, there is a craft club, then cultural club and celebrity diversity club, where we can see always people engage in different activities.
I think my favorite space in campus is any space where there is some activity going on. So I like to go and be part of activity and like to go and be part of clubs, like to be a part of discussions, whether they're formal or informal. I like to watch people present things that they're very passionate about, and you just learn a lot more through all of these other outside spaces that you have.
यूनिवर्सिटी में खेलों का एक अलग उत्साह है, जिसमें क्रिकेट है, वॉलीबॉल है, बास्केटबॉल, फ्रिस्बी, टेबल टेनिस। और हम चूँकि अलग अलग बैकग्राउंड से आते हैं तो हम अपने यहाँ 1 या 2 गेम खेले हुए होते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ आके हमें अलग अलग तरीके के गेम हमें खेलने को मिलते हैं और जहाँ हम एक दूसरे को बराबर रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं और एक दूसरे को सिखाते हैं जो गेम को पहली बार खेल रहे होते हैं।
No, I'm a beginner, so that's what I like about the place. Like they accept beginners, they like want the beginners to play football, which is like usually not seen anywhere else. And this is why like you feel accepted here.
Day in and day out, APU kind of reminds me of the purpose and the reason that I was here for, and is helping me learn, unlearn. So this whole process is really interesting. I'm still in the first year, the first semester. I'm yet to explore this beautiful journey that lies ahead of me.
A very good morning to all of you. It's such a great pleasure to see you here. I can't describe how happy I am. All of us share in this joy and happiness of yours. It's been a terrible 2 years for most of us. We've been hurt in many ways, personal, professional. It's not something that we can erase and move on and forget, but we must move on in the hope of a better tomorrow. I start my welcome by extending a very heartfelt welcome to the students of this graduating batch. Thank you for being here. I know that some of you could not make it because now we have all become people who work. There are work pressures, personal issues, so some of you could not make it, but I hope that all of you are attending online. And for those attending online, please consider that you are with us here in person. It is your day today, and all of us are very proud of you. Next, I want to welcome the parents, guardians, well-wishers and friends of this graduating batch. You have sacrificed a lot. It is because of you that our students are here. Thank you. I welcome our teachers of this graduating batch. It's a special bond that you share with them. Your students will remember you for their lifetime, in good times and bad. But before that, I want to also say that they'll keep bothering you for your lifetime. Right? It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Premji, our Chancellor. You are and will be an inspiration to us. I welcome Yasmin Premji, Rishad Premji and Dilip. They're all members of a board, but more than that, have been instrumental in building this institution. Thank you. Anurag does not need an introduction. Until 4 days back, Anurag was our Vice Chancellor, and currently is the CEO of the Azim Premji Foundation as well. Welcome, Anurag. I welcome Indu Prasad, Indu as we know her. Indu is succeeding Anurag as the Vice Chancellor of the University. So I join all of you in welcoming her and wishing her a wonderful time here. I welcome my friends and colleagues from the Azim Premji Foundation's field institutes. Many of them are watching that online, and they've been a great support to our students in the field, helping them realize, helping them recognize the realities of the field. Your graduation would not have been possible without the help of so many of our support team members. These are our housekeeping members, these are maintenance, these are our cafeteria. So some of them are here. Welcome. Many of our current students are watching this from the seminar halls on the campus. Welcome to you. During the event, we will have faculty members call out the names of the graduating students. And with this I end. Anurag, please, for your address.
Good morning. I mean, how do I know that I'm audible at the back? Good morning. That's more like it. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. Welcome all of you, the graduating batch, their families, their friends. Congratulations. Congratulations. As all of us realize, this is an event that should have happened last year. It happens this year now because of the pandemic. Good morning again. Can you hear me at the back? All right. So, as always, this is the 9th time that I'm giving this speech. This is the 9th time I'm giving this speech. There won't be a 10th time, because the 10th time that the university has a convocation, Indu will give this speech. So let's welcome Indu once again. But just because it's the 9th time, I'm not going to change the format of my speech. Which means I'll start with a story, then I'll have 3 points. Each of those 3 points will have 3 sub-points inside, if that's okay with you. Okay. So, let me start with a story. And I thought about it quite a bit, that on this joyous occasion, on this happy occasion, why should I start with a story which is sorrowful? So I start with a story which is sorrowful on this joyous occasion. And I start with the story which is sorrowful because all of you are familiar with that great poem, If, right? Victory and defeat. So joy and sorrow, or satisfaction and regret, all comes together. So how can we walk away, us, this university, which is so dedicated to making a difference in this country and society, how can we walk away from either, right? So the story is the following. It's a very brief story. Almost to the day last year, I remember myself in Ranchi. And I had spent the entire day going through villages. And if you remember what April of last year was like, then May and then June, I had basically gone through village after village after village, maybe about 200 kilometers from Ranchi, and where I had essentially realized that the pandemic had reached and was killing people. And I came back that night, and I had such regret. And I had such regret because what I felt is that if only I had actually traveled 4 weeks in advance. if only I had traveled out 4 weeks in advance to those places, perhaps I would have realized the extent of the pandemic as to how it was reaching to the most disadvantaged, the most rural of this country. But I didn't do it. And I stood there that night, I remember, with that regret, and that regret has not gone away. And why was the regret there? The regret was there because we as an organization, the university, overall the foundation, before in the pandemic, had done quite a bit to help the country, help people to deal with the pandemic. But on that day I stood, just about a year from today, with that regret that had I acted 4 weeks before, perhaps we could have done a lot more. Of course, after that, we did everything that we could, and I'll talk about it in a bit, but that regret doesn't go away. And I'll come back to the story right at the end. With that story, and why do I start, as I said, with this regretful story? Because regret and satisfaction, and the satisfaction came later, are together. Now, I'll go to the first point of my 3 points. And I'll go to 1A. What is 1A? This is the first time that I'm seeing nobody shout and clap when I say 3 points, you know. So, is that because of the somber story that I narrated? Perhaps, but we'll come to that in a bit. 1A. 1A is, in this pandemic, during these 2 years, which have delayed this convocation, all of you, every one of you, my colleagues at the foundation, our partner organization outside, everybody at the university has dealt with this situation in exemplary fashion, absolutely exemplary fashion. And this is when every one of us has lost a loved and a dear one. Despite that, we have dealt with an exemplary fashion. And when I say exemplary fashion, it is not just that all of you as students and your teachers, overnight they switched to online. Overnight they figured out how to do online internships, then switched back, and then switched back again. Imagine the disruption that happened, which I have seen, right? All of you have experienced and lived through. It's not just that. It is that you contributed to dealing with the pandemic in the world at large. So 1A is, I think every one of you, every one of my colleagues who's here, not here, every one of the students who's not here, who's gone through this, every one of you deserves a big hand. Please. One B is that this last year, or this last year and a half, I would say, is not just that we have dealt with the pandemic, but we have done new and important things. The university has launched 3 new diplomas, and these are the kind of diplomas that actually serve the kind of needs that we want to serve. Diplomas for teachers on inclusive education, or children with disabilities. We have launched a diploma on social sector leadership. Some of you are familiar with it. What you're unfamiliar with is how our work has expanded. You would be quite surprised and pleasantly surprised to know that we are working now in Jammu and Kashmir. And all of us know what a situation Jammu and Kashmir is facing. Despite that, we are working there. So last year has been not just the matter, or last year and a half, let me correct myself again, has not just been about dealing with the pandemic, but doing things that are important to us, important to our purpose, important to our culture and ethos. 1C, and as you realize, the first point is a little bit of a quick recap of the past year and a half, or the highlights of the year and a half. 1C is, in our immediate community, which means around the university campus, you've gone ahead, students, teachers alike have gone ahead and started engaging with the community. All of you must be familiar. We have started our school at the university. And for us, as an institution, starting a children's school is a big milestone, but we are not limited to that. We are engaging with the 7 panchayats around the university campus, and that is something that we'll continue to invest in and do deeply. So, dealing with the pandemic, despite the pandemic, doing the kind of things that we want to do, and engaging with the community. That's my first point. The second point, if the first point was about the past, the second point is about the future. the future of the university and the future of the overall foundation. The first thing, and if you would pay attention to this, particularly students who are graduating and those who are listening who are not yet graduated, this university has a specific social purpose to contribute to equity and justice in the country and here and now. And therefore, what we are seeing in the future is our programs, whether it's MA education or development or the undergrad program, it's going to become more and more connected with the ground. If I were to put it simply, your curricula will continue to go through reconfigurations by which you'll spend a lot more time in the field. You, meaning your successors, right? So a big direction for the university is that we are going to reform, redesign our curricula such that all our students spend a lot more time learning from the reality of this country, right? So that's 2A. 2B. 2B, you're familiar. The university is expanding. From the 1,500 odd students here, we'll go to 5,000 students in the next 3 to 4 years. Our Bhopal campus is under construction. So our Bhopal University shall be operational by the end of this year. In addition to that, we are looking at 2 other places for further expansion. There are no specific decisions yet, but we'll probably expand to 2 other locations. But Bhopal and Bangalore are 2 places where your university will be there by the end of this year. Third, from a university's perspective, one of the most important things is how integral a part it is of the overall Azim Premji Foundation. One of the greatest strengths is how the university works along with what we call the field unit and philanthropy. Field unit is the unit that works on the ground across multiple states trying to help public schooling and other things improve. Philanthropy is our grant-making unit through which we support other NGO through financial grants. When all these 3 units work together, when they come together, the power of this work gets multiplied, dramatically multiplied. This is what we saw during the pandemic. During the pandemic, just to give you a recap, over the past 9 months, we have worked with over 3,800 primary healthcare centers. That's a large number. We have covered roughly 11 crore people in the vaccination program. And this large population is some of the most disadvantaged, perhaps the kind of populations who would have received the vaccination the last. But our teams includes the university team, and when I say university team, it's not just the current students and teachers, but it's actually the vast alumni that we have. The university team, the field team, our philanthropy partners, would you believe it? Roughly 120,000 people on the ground. A team of 120,000 people on the ground operated to make this happen. This entire team deserves the highest congratulations. So, the program reconfiguration to make it more grounded, expansion of the university, campuses and in Bangalore, and the working together of the foundation units to multiply our effect. So that's 1, 2 done. 3. Now, how can I resist the temptation when I'm giving this the last speech as the Vice Chancellor? Actually, not the Vice Chancellor. How can I resist the temptation to share some gyan with you, if you permit me? You have to say, students have to say yes, then I can share some gyan with you. Okay, I didn't expect anything else actually. So, here is the gyan. 3A. 3A, and I must tell you this, that I've had the privilege and continue to have the privilege of, I think, working with what I consider as the most extraordinary team in India. Absolutely the most extraordinary team in India. That includes the students and includes my colleagues. I can tell you one instance. This is one strange team which is willing to give the credit of everything to me and take the debit of everything. That is very unusual, right? So it's a remarkable team. The 3 bits of gyan that I can share with you. One, the first one, you learned a lot. You learned a lot at this university. You've come here with commitment, you go out with further commitment and dedication. But the first bit of gyan is, wear all this knowledge lightly. Wear this knowledge lightly. Don't take yourself too seriously. You must take your work seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Because if you take yourself too seriously, not only does your work get affected, but also you don't enjoy life so much, right? So don't take your work so seriously. And don't take your knowledge so seriously. There's a lot more to learn. I can see Arjun sitting there, so I'll pick on him. Whatever may Arjun have taught you, that's going to be a fraction of what you will learn over the next 25, 30 years. So take everything lightly. 3B. 3B, you know, there's no substitute in life, absolutely no substitute in life, to dialogue, to be willing to engage, to not consider the other person the enemy, to not try to win arguments but to win over hearts. Converse. We too rapidly, too quickly, too urgently do we classify people as the other, people as coming from other perspectives, ideologies. We won't go far. We are all together. We are Indians. We'll have to live with each other. So I think it's absolutely critical, particularly you who are graduating from this university, that we understand that talking with empathy, considering everybody a potential friend, is the only way to move ahead. And 3C, the last bit of my gyan, and with that I end, and I won't again take this podium to say something like this. 3B is that there is nothing more important I have learned, nothing more important than integrity and courage. And integrity supports courage, and courage supports integrity. That day in April, when I stood in Ranchi, I shared with you candidly what I felt. I've written about it. And then I went on. In fact, I didn't return home. My wife is here. I didn't return home for 11 weeks, right? Roughly 11 weeks, or used to come down on Sundays. And we are all familiar that those 3 months were like cataclysm, right? That as though the world was ending. But what I saw, and that's why I said joy and grief comes together. What I saw in those next 3 months was just extraordinarily inspiring and energizing. Because despite everything that was happening, despite having no control over any of the events that unfolded, I saw on the ground hundreds and thousands of people like you with no fear, or perhaps fear, but despite that, controlling the fear, doing everything that they could to save lives, to reduce misery, and to help people. And these are people, hundreds of our alumni, thousands of our colleagues, thousands of our partners, not just these people, but those who we don't certify as normal civil society or normal somebody, right? Just the average person coming out to save lives. It was truly inspiring. And that courage and that integrity that I saw is something that's truly there. And if we have the ability to converse with people, and if we don't take ourselves too seriously, I think we will move ahead, you will move ahead, we'll be a much better country. A country which has equity, justice, and humaneness. With that, I wish you all the very best. All of you who are here, all of you who are not here, it has been a privilege to be a part of this institution. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Welcome again to the graduating students and guests. So we are moving to the very important event of the day. We are to the awarding ceremony of degrees. I am Sunandan. I am a faculty at School of Arts and Science. I have the privilege of announcing the names of graduating students from undergraduate degree and MA in economics. We have 87 students graduating from the undergraduate program and 11 students from MA economics. All of them are not here, but those who are here, please come to the stage when your name is announced. I'll be announcing the names in alphabetical order. For our safety, we'll be following COVID safety protocols. So there will not be handshakes, but you can remove your mask for the photograph. Okay, I will start with BA Economics.
Congratulations to all our graduates. We hope to stay in touch with you over the years and request you to please stay connected with us through the alumni office. All the best. Thank you. We will now have a musical performance by our students. Thank you.